Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are taking on what many consider the ultimate enigma of the art world, abstract art. And let's be honest, we've all been there. You're standing in a quiet museum, looking at this massive canvas of, lines in splatters.
And you're thinking it.
You're thinking it, that little voice in your head goes, my kid could do that.
It's the most common and I think often the most frustrating barrier to entry. But that phrase, while it sounds dismissive, it actually reveals something really important.
What's that?
That abstract art just fundamentally challenges the contract we expect between us and the artwork. We expect to see something we recognize, and it gives us, well, nothing.
That initial discomfort, that feeling of being sort of intentionally left out of the meaning, that is exactly the wall we're going to climb over today. Okay, let's unpack this. We are going to try and forget everything we think we know about abstract art and, replace those assumptions with the tools to actually decode it.
Our mission is pretty simple, really. It's to show that abstract art, far from being random, is a deeply intentional, intricate language. It's designed to convey emotions and ideas that words or even realism just can't capture.
So we're giving you the grammar for this hidden language.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's start with the root of the problem then. Expectation. For, millennia, art was about imitation. It was about showing us the world.
Right. Rendering a face, a landscape, a big historical scene with incredible accuracy.
So why did that change so radically in the early 20th century? What happened?
Well, what's fascinating here is that the pivot wasn't arbitrary at all. It was basically necessary because of these huge technological and philosophical revolutions. By the late 19th century, the heavy burden of precise representation had been lifted from the artist by the camera. Photography could capture reality instantly.
And flawlessly, yeah. So if the artist's job wasn't just to copy nature anymore, what was left?
The unseen, the internal world, the spiritual. Exactly. And at the same time, the early 20th century saw the world just accelerating into chaos. You have industrialization, huge scientific breakthroughs like relativity, and of course, global conflict.
So those traditional ordered landscapes and portraits, they just didn't feel right anymore.
They felt inadequate, totally inadequate to express the fractured, complex, and often, frankly, terrifying reality of modern life. Artists needed a new language for all that inner turmoil.
So abstraction wasn't just a stylistic choice. It was a philosophical necessity, a radical departure, pioneered by people like Wassily Kandinsky.
Who wanted to explore that internal world,
And Piet Mondrian, who was searching for this universal order in all the chaos. They were looking for a new kind of truth.
And this search resulted in these really distinct movements. It's so important to get that these artists weren't just splashing paint around. No, not at all. Kandinsky, he moved through expressionism toward pure abstraction. He was seeking a spiritual language. Mondrian co-founded Distill, aiming for absolute clarity and harmony with just primary colors and right angles. It was like a purification of art.
Okay, so if abstract art is a language born from this modern chaos, let's learn the vocabulary. Because every line, every color, every bit of surface is a deliberate choice. Let's start with the basics. Shape.
In abstract art, a shape is no longer tied to reality. It has to stand on its own as a symbol. So sharp, jagged, or angular shapes, they immediately evoke tension, conflict, or energy.
Whereas soft, flowing curved shapes might suggest something like harmony or rhythm or organic movement.
Precisely.
I think the quintessential example of shape as philosophy has to be Mondrian's composition with red, blue, and yellow. A lot of people see it and just think, okay, basic geometric design.
Right, it's just rectangles.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So isn't he just reducing art to mere geometry?
Yeah.
How is that supposed to be profound?
That's a crucial question. And if you look at it through a lens of just pure formalism, then it's geometry. But for Mondrian and his whole movement, Distill, these works were a kind of spiritual discipline.
A discipline.
He used the horizontal and vertical lines to symbolize the fundamental forces of nature, the masculine and the feminine, the dynamic and the static. The whole composition is a meditative attempt to visualize universal harmony and balance. It's a tiny, ordered universe on a canvas.
So the simplicity is the entire point. It's distilling a really complex philosophy into its purest form.
You got it.
Okay, so if Mondrian gives us structure, how do other abstract artists get that intensity of raw feeling, This has to bring us to color.
Color. Color bypasses structure completely and just speaks directly to our emotions, to our limbic system. Kandinsky was instrumental here. He actually experienced synesthesia.
You could hear colors and see sound, right?
That's it. So he theorized about color, assigning, say, blue to deep serenity and green to a kind of calm contentment. For him, color was the immediate emotional vehicle.
I think the best and maybe the most visceral example of this is Mark Rothko's work. Those massive, luminous canvases of just pure color.
Rothko is the master of what we call color field painting, and his works are designed to be immersive. The scale is absolutely critical. They're often taller than the viewer, so they just overwhelm your peripheral vision.
They're not pictures to look at.
No, they're environments to stand inside of. He got that incredible luminosity by applying many, many thin translucent layers of paint. It lets the colors almost vibrate off the canvas and envelop you in a specific emotional frequency.
Be it melancholy or transcendence or whatever it is for you.
Yes. The color is the subject, and the viewing process is the experience.
I remember the first time I stood in front of one. The sizes. It's overwhelming. It demands that you engage. You can't just intellectualize your way out of the feeling.
You can't. And finally, let's talk about texture, the hidden dimension. This gets overlooked a lot, but texture adds this critical tactile quality, a sense of history or process to the work.
And when we talk about texture in abstraction, we usually land squarely on Jackson Pollock.
Yep.
I mean, his Drick paintings are basically defined by their texture.
They absolutely are. Pollock was the defining figure of abstract expressionism, specifically what they called action painting. His works aren't brushed. They are poured, dripped, flung.
So those layers of thick paint, what you call impasto.
Yes, the impasto, and even things he embedded in it, like sand or, cigarette butts. They create this vital, chaotic surface. The texture is a tangible record of his creative process.
It's the story of his movement.
It's the story of the physical energy of the artist at work. It transforms the act of painting itself into the subject.
Here's where it gets really interesting for me. How specific artists took these elements, shape, color, texture, and almost like weaponized them to convey emotion without any recognizable images, creating what Kandinsky called visual music.
Kandinsky really sought to find a universal language, just like music, that didn't need translation. I mean, if you listen to a symphony, you don't ask, what is that a picture of?
No, you just experience the feeling of it. Joy or anxiety or dramatic tension.
And Kandinsky aimed for that same direct communication.
If you look at his big piece, Composition of Seven, it's this swirl of dynamic shapes and bold competing colors. It feels like a massive, chaotic event. An explosion of energy.
It's the visual equivalent of a dramatic, multi-part symphony hitting its crescendo. He planned these compositions meticulously, but the result is pure expressive force.
Now, contrast that search for structured spirituality with the raw, visceral energy of Pollock.
Right. Pollock's work, which some critics at first just dismissed as random splatters.
My kid could do that problem again.
Exactly. It embodies the chaos and the nervous energy of the post-war world. But it's an orchestrated dance of movement.
Orchestrated, not random. That's a critical distinction.
It is. While the technique allowed for chance, Pollock was controlling the trajectory, the speed, the color palette. He was capturing the dynamism and tension and just the sheer vitality of life in the mid-20th century. Where Mondrian tried to build an orderly structure to escape chaos, Pollock just dove right into it.
And used the texture of the process itself as the statement. This leads us to, I think, a crucial dynamic. Intent versus interpretation. If the artist is creating a work about feeling, not seeing, how much room is there for the viewer's own understanding?
That ambiguity is the primary source of abstract art's power. It really is. Traditional art gives you a specific story. St. George slaying the dragon. Abstract art is a catalyst. It leaves room for you, the viewer, to bring your own baggage, your own experiences, your emotional history.
So meaning isn't just contained inside the canvas. It's completed by the person standing in front of it.
Exactly. We talked about Rothko. That huge field of deep burgundy and black might evoke a feeling of somber contemplation and deep serenity in one person.
Maybe it reflects a positive memory of quiet or something.
Right. But in another person, it might trigger profound sadness or melancholy. And both of those interpretations are totally valid. The art's purpose is to facilitate that highly personal, dynamic, emotional interaction. The art is enriched by every unique viewpoint.
Okay, so if you're listening to this and you're still feeling that initial intimidation, you are in great company. Abstract art requires a new set of rules. So let's talk about your personal abstraction journey. How do we approach this stuff with curiosity instead of feeling like we need to solve a puzzle?
The absolute key is shifting to what I call the feeling over knowing approach. The minute you stop asking, what is it supposed to be? And you start asking, how does this make me feel? You break the code.
Just allow yourself to experience it.
On a raw, emotional, and sensory level, yes.
So we arm ourselves with a kind of checklist, moving from just passive viewing to active participation.
Yeah.
What are the specific questions we should be asking when we confront a new piece of abstraction?
Okay, so when you look at an abstract piece, focus on the immediate visual data. First, what emotions do I feel? Just gut reaction. Second, analyze the mechanics. How are the colors, the shapes, the textures interacting? Are they in harmony or are they fighting?
Okay.
Third, does the overall composition create a sense of balance or tension or maybe unstoppable movement? And then most importantly, what memories or associations does this thing evoke for me, personally? Don't look for the artist's meaning first, look for your own.
That immediately turns you, the viewer, into a co-creator of meaning. I love that.
Yeah.
Let's try that quick interactive challenge that was mentioned in our sources. Imagine a small section of a painting right now, a frantic swirl of deep indigo blue, and it's cut across by this jagged, aggressive line of bright electric red.
And it's all sitting on top of a heavily textured, uneven patch of mustard yellow.
Okay.
What does that combination spark in you? Does that red line feel like danger or maybe a shout cutting through a calm blue? Is the texture unsettling or is it grounding?
For me, that red feels like a sudden alarm, a moment of high tension right before something bad happens. And the blue is this deep underlying calm that's being really aggressively disturbed.
And that is a powerful interpretation. But someone else might see the blue as coldness, the red as necessary warmth, and the texture as stability. That simple exercise just shows how personal interpretation is the whole point.
So it's not about finding the one right answer.
Abstract art never offers easy, objective answers. But that mystery, that ambiguity, that is precisely its power.
So what does this all mean? We've journeyed from that initial, my kid could do that, to, I hope, a much deeper appreciation. We've learned the movement was born out of historical necessity.
And that artists like Kandinsky, Rothko, and Pollock created this intricate language using color, geometry, and action.
It challenges us to connect with our deepest emotions, bypassing the need for words or pictures.
The ultimate takeaway, I think, is that abstract art is profoundly intricate and deeply human. It's a direct channel to express the inexpressible. It challenges you to look harder, think deeper, and feel more intensely than almost any other art form.
So we challenge you now to take this new perspective. The next time you encounter a non-representational work in a gallery, don't worry about getting it. Just let yourself feel it. Notice how the colors and shapes move you.
And if you enjoyed this deep dive into decoding abstraction, we strongly encourage you to check out the source of all this material. You can explore the blog, Anitaluiseart, that's Anitaluiseart.
They have so much great content there.
They really do. You can also view the fantastic art they have for sale and discover their podcast, which is called 5 Minutes with Art, and also check out their YouTube channel for visual explorations. It'll help you keep looking, keep feeling, and keep questioning.
Until next time, keep exploring the hidden languages of the world around you.